In the headlines on early edition at 6, the National Assembly is still tied up with a special bill over April's ferry disaster. The opposition gives an ultimatum to the ruling party. The question is, will the deadlock be broken? California is hit by a powerful 6.0 magnitude earthquake. The governor declares a state of emergency and restoration efforts continue in the area. Korea's second-largest city, Busan, is hit with torrential rain. A bus in another affected area has been swept away and submerged. These stories and more coming right up at Early Edition at 6. It's 6 in the evening, Monday, August 25th, here in Korea. Coming to you live from Seoul, I'm Na-hyun Kyung.
And I'm Daniel Che. Thank you for joining us for Early Edition at 6. We begin in the country's southeastern city of Busan, where torrential downpours have been battering the region since yesterday.
That's right, with some areas receiving up to 100 millimeters of rain per hour. Subway operations have been partially suspended in Busan, while some roads there have been closed off.
And in the afternoon, a mudslide buried a small community center for senior citizens. Authorities are currently trying to gain access to the building and aren't sure whether anyone may still be inside.
Over in the nearby city of Changwon in Gyeongsangnam-do province, one woman was killed after the bus she was traveling in was swept away in flooding. The bus has since been submerged, and it's believed at least one person is trapped inside. Search and rescue efforts are underway.
Also, a nearby nuclear reactor, the Gori No. 2, was turned offline manually to prevent a possible accident. We'll bring you more as the story develops in our later newscast.
In the meantime, let's turn to our Michelle Park at the Weather Center for more details. Michelle.
Good evening. Now, Busan and its surrounding areas are being inundated, and between 30 and 80 more millimeters of rain are expected to fall there. Those in southern coastal regions are going to see more than 120 millimeters of rain, along with some thunder and lightning. So please do stay home if you can to help it tonight. It's getting dangerous out there. Now, due to this continuous nationwide rain, temperatures are going to drop to the low to the high 20s. And although the precipitation will clear out for the most parts this evening, it will return this later in the week for the most regions, such as Gyeongsangnam-do province will get rain on Wednesday, and the southern regions will get another rounds on Friday. Now, so make sure to have your umbrellas handy. Now, that's all for now. I'm Michelle Park, and back to you guys.
Well, moving to other stories, the political deadlock persists over special legislation over an investigation into April's ferry sinking that killed more than 300.
The opposition party has made a final proposal to the ruling party, so will the gridlock be broken today? Choi Yoo-sun reports.
Will Korea's two main political parties ever find a way to loosen up the political logjam caused by April's ferry disaster? After the ruling party quickly rejected her proposal to invite ferry victim families to negotiate the so-called Sewol-ho ferry bill, opposition floor leader Park Young-sun has given an ultimatum to the ruling party to agree to the three-way talks by Monday. The ruling side says the tripartite consultation would violate Korea's representative democracy and the parliamentary system. The ferry victims' families are demanding that a probe committee, which includes lawyers and legal experts selected by the families themselves, have the authority to investigate and indict. The ruling party says that would destroy the principle of criminal law. The months-long political discord has left the parliament in paralysis, with a lineup of major economy and reform-related bills kept in limbo. Ruling party leader Kim Moo-sung on Monday urged the opposition to work toward a swift passage of the economic bills that are closely linked to the people's livelihoods. While the ruling party floor leader plans to meet the victims' families on Monday, the opposite side, with its members divided, is expected to decide whether to continue to fight for the ferry bill, which would put other bills and parliamentary proceedings at risk. Choi Yoo-sun, Arirang News.
And President Park Geun-hye is growing impatient with the gridlock at Parliament. At a meeting of her senior secretaries earlier in the day, she said the government cannot do its part in reviving the economy and stabilizing the people's livelihoods until the National Assembly passes related bills. The president also expressed concerns about proposed changes to the nation's safety management structure because the changes cannot be implemented unless a government restructuring bill passes Parliament. Implicitly criticizing the opposition's unwavering position on the ferry bill, President Park did not refer to the bill itself or the victim families' demand to meet the president, sticking by her stance that the parliament should resolve the issue. The government is tightening the reins on state subsidy programs to prevent the misuse of funds. Officials from the finance ministry say they are in the process of developing a system that would give the public access to a broader range of information on state subsidies, including details on how the money is being spent. This comes amid mounting criticism that state money is being used for corrupt practices. Government data shows that roughly $166 million were lost due to irregularities last year.
Well, North Korea hasn't test-fired any missiles for well over a week now. Watchers say Pyongyang most likely wants to avoid upsetting Seoul ahead of the upcoming Asian Games, which will be held in the South Korean city of Incheon, with North Korean athletes in attendance. Our Son Jung-in has more on this story.
2 days before Seoul and Washington kicked off their annual 2-week Ulji Freedom Guardian exercise, the North Korean military began making threats.
If we decide South Korea's small and big military bases will turn into a sea of fire and a heap of ashes.
Pyongyang has long denounced the drills as a rehearsal for an invasion of the North. But since it fired 5 short-range rockets into the East Sea on August 14th, the North has shown some restraint. Instead, it has proposed talks to discuss logistics for its athletes and cheering squad at the upcoming Incheon Asian Games.
The North Korea proposed talks on the practical issues related to the Asian Games through an exchange of letters.
Experts view the North's latest contradictory moves of threats and offers of dialogue as a typical stick-and-carrot strategy.
As opposed to their threatening remarks in written words, I think the North will propose more dialogue in the future to send its delegation to the Asian Games.
Many experts believe inter-Korean talks will resume after the joint drills are over, but most agree it will be difficult to attain many tangible results on issues such as holding family reunions and resuming tours to North Korea's Mount Kumgang Resort. Son Jung-in, Arirang News.
U.S. President Barack Obama is planning to shake up his team in charge of North Korea policy. Sources in Washington on Sunday say the president is expected to name Sidney Seiler, the advisor for Korea policy at the White House National Security Council, as the new U.S. special envoy to the six-party denuclearization talks. The outgoing U.S. ambassador to South Korea, Sung Kim, will most likely replace Glenn Davis as the special representative for North Korea policy. Despite the new faces, watchers say the Obama administration's policy towards Pyongyang will likely remain the same. The North Korea issue will take center stage at a meeting between U.S. President Barack Obama and Chinese President Xi Jinping at an upcoming summit of Asia-Pacific leaders. This is according to Robert Wang, a senior diplomat at the U.S. Embassy in Beijing. He told China's Global Times that the two presidents will discuss North Korea's nuclear weapons program and other matters of concern on the Korean peninsula at a bilateral meeting on the sidelines of November's APEC summit in Beijing. Both the U.S. and China hope to resume the stalled six-party talks aimed at persuading North Korea to give up its pursuit of a nuclear weapon.
Helped by the government's stimulus measures, domestic consumption seems to be showing strong signs of rebounding. Our Kim Ji-yeon details how consumer confidence is recovering.
The economy is finally showing signs of a recovery after months of sluggish domestic consumption following April's ferry disaster. The country's major department stores recorded average sales increases of over 4% last month compared to the same period last year. The Ministry of Strategy and Finance says sales of goods that indicate an increase in private consumption also rose in July on year. These including automobiles and gasoline, which were up by around 1% and 2% respectively. Credit card transactions in Korea also edged up more than 5%. Signs of a recovery can also be found in real estate, where transactions increased more than 90% last month compared to the same period last year. The improvements come after the government eased measures, including the loan-to-value and debt-to-income ratios that limit the amount of money people can borrow from banks when buying a house. Experts attribute the recovery trend to increased consumer confidence as a result of the economic measures unveiled last month by the Finance Ministry. Sang from the Korea Chamber of Commerce and Industry told the Busan Daily that the government needs to continue its deregulation drive and put more pressure on the National Assembly to pass bills that are designed to improve the livelihoods of the people. Arirang News.
Now, in today's fiercely competitive retail market, local department stores are doing all they can to attract more customers. One of the newest strategies targets a specific type of consumers by designating an entire section just for them. Hwang Ji-hye has more.
From suits, shirts, and briefcases to shoes and golf accessories, this section of a mall has just about everything a man would want to buy at a department store. It's called an exclusive area for men.
In the past, I had to go from floor to floor looking for things, but here they have everything I need, so it's very convenient.
With a growing number of male customers taking their wallets to local department stores, marketing teams have decided to set aside a zone just for them. Sales from male shoppers has been rising steadily over recent years, with the figure jumping more than 30% each year since 2011. The exclusive sections have been a popular draw not just for men, but for other segments of the population as well. Long rows of dried pollocks attract mothers looking for dinner items. This corner in a liquor store is dedicated solely to Korean traditional drinks. Here, shoppers can find any and all kinds of local alcoholic beverages.
I am delighted to see all kinds of local drinks here, especially these days when Korean traditional drinks have lost some of their customers to foreign brands.
Sales managers explain that the move has helped them raise sales and drop prices as they're able to make direct deals with producers.
By operating a differentiated service, we provide not only something to see, but also cheaper prices. We are getting good reviews from customers.
Amid increased competition among department stores, they're encouraging customers to open up their wallets through this unique form of marketing. Hwang Ji-hye, Arirang News.
Korea's largest auto groups appear to be losing ground rather in the domestic market. According to the Korea Automobile Manufacturers Association, the combined market share of Hyundai Motor and Kia Motors stood at 69.5% during the first half of this year. It's the first time in 7 years that the figure has fallen below 70%. The decline comes on the back of the increased presence of foreign automobiles, which made up 12.4% of the Korean market in the first half, which is a nearly threefold increase compared to the year 2007. Given their growth, industry insiders say it will be difficult for Hyundai and Kia to rise above the 70% mark again. Well, it's a pattern that many Koreans won't like to hear, but a new study shows that people here work the second longest hours in the OECD. According to data released on Sunday, Koreans worked an average of 2,163 hours last year, and that's about 45 hours a week. With that number, Korea falls behind Mexico only, which is at the top with the highest number of working hours of more than 2,200 hours. From the year 2000 to 2007, Korea actually ranked number 1 with the most number of working hours, until being overtaken by Mexico in 2008. The country with the least number of working hours is the Netherlands, with about 1,300 hours. That's under 30 hours a week.
In this week's Industry Insight, we are going to talk about some of the challenges the country's tech startups are faced with.
Well, hopefully it's not long working hours. Korea is one of the most wired countries in the world, but Connie Kim says there are a number of cultural factors that can give young, up-and-coming entrepreneurs a hard time.
Facebook, Yahoo, Apple. These are just a few of big names that started out small in Silicon Valley. Their big ideas eventually reached consumers, but only after the right financial backers came along. Well, here in Korea, things can be a bit tougher for startups. 1,500 Silicon Valley tech companies raised $25 billion last year. The total for Korea-based startups? A mere 6/100ths of that. But here's an example of Shaker Media, a video creating company that's beat this tough environment with the right idea. Take a look.
Making memories last is what Shaker Media does. With its instant video creating platform, Shaker makes dragging and dropping simple and creating professional quality videos easier.
I think of video as the most powerful storytelling medium. When you and I are here face-to-face talking, that's a powerful storytelling medium. And so I thought that it would be necessary and desirable for many people, everyone, not just the people with the big production budgets and the fancy expensive cameras to be able to do video, but for everyone to do great video.
It also helps small businesses advertise, in a way helping the Park Geun-hye administration's creative economy drive in search for fresh, innovative ideas for growth engines.
Video ads have 3 times the click-through rate of mobile advertisements. They are effective. But small businesses just couldn't participate because they couldn't afford to spend $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on producing a beautiful video advertisement.
Born 3 years ago, Shaker now serves customers all throughout Asia and the Americas, having raised about $3 million as of May this year.
So I know it's quite tough for Korean venture companies to get investment. Where did you get the investment from?
There is a lot of venture capital available here in Korea today. Angel investors are very active. We've also raised money from Facebook executives. We've also raised money from Korea's largest internet company, NHN Investment, and Korea's largest steel company, POSCO Investment.
But that's not the reality for the majority of startups in Korea. Having to break ground on the back of financial guarantees or loans can turn off a lot of young entrepreneurs, especially in a business environment where investing through M&As is not as prevalent as it is in, say, the United States. But Lee says Korea is still a good market to try out new ideas as long as young entrepreneurs utilize a strong IT infrastructure and low entry barrier for startups in the country.
There is a vibrant local market here in Korea, an incredible test bed to test your ideas with a very receptive local market that's ready to try new things.
Connie Kim, Arirang News.
It's a one-day entry ban.
Digging deeper, getting to the bottom of stories that impact your life. Talking with you on air and online. Connecting you with experts on the world's most pressing issues. News and current affairs at its best. With Na Hyung-kyung and Daniel Che.
Arirang News.
Arirang News.
Arirang News.
On Early Edition at 6.
A powerful earthquake has rocked California, prompting the governor there to declare a state of emergency. Reports say it was a 6.0 magnitude quake and has caused considerable damage in the state's wine country. Our Shin Se-min has more.
The strongest quake to hit California in a quarter-century saw scores of people hospitalized, cause houses to burst into flames, and damage scores of buildings in California's Napa Valley. A 6.0 magnitude earthquake rocked California's wine country at around 3:20 a.m. on Sunday local time, with the epicenter less than 10 kilometers southwest of Napa. The earthquake was felt over a huge portion of California in San Francisco, but the most powerful tremors were recorded in Napa and Sonoma County. More than 30 aftershocks followed the quake, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. Officials at Queen of the Valley Medical Center in Napa say at least 6 people have been critically injured, with 120 less seriously hurt. California Governor Jerry Brown has declared a state of emergency and said state officials were working closely with state and local emergency managers, first responders, and transportation officials. California is not a safe zone when it comes to earthquakes, as it sits right above the Pacific's ring of fire, where earthquakes and volcanic eruptions occur often. In 1906, San Francisco was struck by a 7.8 magnitude quake that killed over 3,000 people and destroyed 80% of the city. In 1989, another powerful quake hit in a similar area, killing more than 60 and injuring hundreds. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
In Syria, where an American journalist kidnapped in 2012 was released by his radical Islamist captors. Peter Theo Curtis was being held by an al-Qaeda affiliate in Syria that has been fighting the President Bashar al-Assad's government. Reports say Curtis was released to UN peacekeepers in the Golan Heights Sunday, where he was met by U.S. government officials and moved out of the country. His family said they were deeply relieved and grateful for his return, while thinking constantly of the other hostages who are still being held there. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, who confirmed the release in a statement, said the U.S. was using every diplomatic, intelligence, and military tool it holds to secure the release of other Americans held hostage in Syria.
As the world fights back against a deadly outbreak of Ebola in the west of Africa, a new strain has turned up in the Democratic Republic of Congo. It's already killed 13 people in the country and adds another layer to the global concerns. Our Kim Yeon-bin reports.
The Democratic Republic of Congo has identified an outbreak of hemorrhagic fever in the country as being Ebola. Health Minister Felix Kambanj-Nambi said the strain is a new type and appears to be different from the Ebola virus that has taken hold in 4 West African nations. Nambi said it killed 13 people in the north of Congo so far, while 80 others are being monitored, but stressed that the virus appears to be isolated. The hemorrhagic fever has killed over 1,400 people this year, most of them from Sierra Leone, Liberia, Guinea, and Nigeria, making it the deadliest outbreak of the disease to date. Meanwhile, the Japanese government has announced that it would be open to offering an influenza drug known as T-705 to fight the Ebola virus. Japanese Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshihide Suga said several countries have asked about the drug, and that Japan would be open to releasing it before the World Health Organization rules on its use. Suga said the makers of T-705 in both Japan and the U.S. are in talks with the U.S. Food and Drug Administration about their next step. Kim Yeon-bin, Arirang News.
Good evening, I'm Michelle Park here with the latest weather forecast. Heavy rain of up to 80 millimeters of rain is in the forecast for the southern regions, while up to 40 is expected in the central region until tonight. Now, due to this continuous nationwide rain, temperatures are going to drop to the low to high 20s tomorrow. And the rain seems to be in the forecast all throughout the week in Gyeongsangnam-do province on Wednesday, and the southern regions will get another round on Friday. Now going over to our temperature readings, Seoul will top out this Tuesday morning at 23 before reaching up to 28 in the afternoon. Meanwhile, the southern cities such as Daegu and Busan will top to 29 and 28 degrees. Now moving over to other regions, Jeju Island tops over to 28 as well, while Dokdo and Mount Kumgang tops into the 22. Well, that's all for now. I'm Michelle Park and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you for that, Michelle. Our hopes and prayers are with the people in Busan who are affected by the incident, the heavy downpour, and of course the rescue effort that's ongoing right over there. We hope to hear some good news and hopefully less negative casualties or anything related to that coming from Busan in our later newscast. Well, that's all from us for now. Thank you for watching. This has been Daniel Che.
And I'm Na Hyun-kyung. To our viewers in Korea, have a good rest of the evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.